The 19th generation, Maharaja Shambhu. After the adoption of sannyas by his revered father, Maharaja Mithilesh, Maharaja Shambhu succeeded to the throne of Bhojgarh Darawar, the capital of the kingdom of their ancestors. The foundation of the reign of the new king also rested on truth, love, dharma, virtuous actions. He always performed his intensely humanitarian and benevolent duties according to the instructions of the saints, sages, and Mahatmas who were given a cordial welcome and a humble service with body, mind, and money. His soul experienced an immortal bliss after feeding the yogis, Mahatmas, and tapasvis, austere persons. Maharaja Shambhu, in spite of being a monarch, led the life of a sannyasi ascetic according to his ancient tradition and influence of the virtuous actions of his previous births. Once Maharaj Shambhu and his queen Maharani Bhagesh were sitting in their palace when a saint raised an alak, religious call, at the gate. The porter entered the royal palace and intimated the arrival of the saint, adding that he desired to see the king. On hearing the porter's message, both the king and the queen ran barefooted to the gate and, reaching there, fell at the feet of the saint, offered Sashtang Pranam, washed his feet, had Charanamrit, and then brought him respectfully inside the palace. After greeting him with respect and cordial service, the king seated the revered guest on the throne. After this, the king and the queen spoke with folded hands. O Lord, what is your order for us? The saint said, O king, I need some money. The king and the queen replied, O great sage, you may have as much as you desire. After all, it is all yours. All this kingdom is completely dedicated to you. The saint said, the money of the state is too heavy for we people. It spoils the mind of renounced persons and all their knowledge gets eclipsed. It will be preferable if we can have the money earned by your labor. The king replied, O Rishiraj, king of sages, we would reply to this suggestion after 4 days. On hearing this assurance, the saint left the palace. The king disguised himself and began to wander about in the city for some labor work. But unfortunately, he could not find any. Thus, 2 days passed without any success. The third day, he saw a woodcutter hewing wood. The king requested to employ him for night. He also inquired the wages that he would give. The carpenter gave the figure and told the condition that he would have to work ceaselessly all the night. The king accepted the offer but requested his employer to leave him off at 4 o'clock in the morning. The king labored with the axe all the night. His hands developed blisters. At 4 in the morning, he got his wages and returned to the palace. After putting off his toiling clothes, the king took his bath and after prayer put on the royal costume. At sunrise, the saint arrived and asked whether his demand could be met. The king said, O master, but that entailed a lot of trouble. The saint remarked that tapasya is successful only after withstanding all the hardships with fortitude. There is no easy going in tapasya. At this, the king related the story of the night and respectfully presented the sum of the money earned. The sage was very much pleased and remarked, O king, had you not had that strong willpower and devotion to Guru, why should I have come to your door? He blessed the royal couple affectionately, commenting that this was the mode of conduct of noble persons. The sun, the moon, and the earth were set in space only on the strength of the nobility of such souls. The tradition of kings whose souls are addicted to dharma, virtue, and duty has been pran jaye par vachan na jaye. That is, they may lose their life but cannot bel their word. Belay their word. The king had the regulation that every servant in his kingdom had to perform only one public duty, for example, to bring Ganga Jal, water from Ganges, every day. The king always took his meals after feeding at least 10 or 20 saints. If on any day no Mahatma visited his palace, he regarded it very unfortunate day and himself very unlucky. What crime have I committed, O Lord? He would say, or what sin has made its effect appear that I am bereft of the holy company? Kings who have such strict and austere rules of lives, what doubt can there be about their salvation? They are the persons who attain deliverance from the cycle of life and death or pleasure and pain. A king whose faith is firm in the service of his Guru, how can his subjects fail in their dharma, duty, and responsibility? Along with such kings, their subjects also attained heaven and deliverance. Due to the paucity of true gurus, the rulers also have forgotten their modes of moral and social conduct and the restraints that have to be observed in public life. How can then the people be expected to follow the tenets of Dharma? As the ruler, so are the people. Once a famine occurred in the reign of King Shambhu. The people were in great distress, all assembled at the door of the king's palace. Afflicted with hunger, they raised a hue and cry, O king, we are dying of hunger. The king at once respectfully invited his guru, Sri Pragyanand Maharaj. After his arrival, offering Sashtang prostrate pranam, he submitted, O master, tell us the way to please the gods to bless us with rain. Otherwise, my people will die of hunger. Guru Pragyanand gave it a thought and after some time said, O king of Lodh Vansh Kashyap Gotra dynasty, there is nothing to worry. There will be rain surely and certainly, but you shall have to undergo some hardships. The king replied, O Gurudev, how can one have bhakti, devotion, without mortification? All my kingdom, life principles, and property is a trust for which I am accountable to my people. If my subjects are not happy, how can I remain so? Gurudev said, O king, have a plough of gold built. It should be drawn by the king and the queen themselves, and the prime minister should act as a driver. The king was an apostle of truth. The plough of gold was duly constructed and set in a field. The king and the queen got themselves set in the position of bullocks, and the minister took the position of the driver and began driving them. The entire population followed. The plough began to dig into the furrows. On seeing this tapasya, spiritual mortification, God himself was moved. The earth began to quake. God ordered Indra, the maker of the clouds, the god of rain, to send his clouds to rain in torrents over the entire kingdom of Maharaja Shambhu. And it happened exactly so. There was everywhere a torrential rainfall in the entire kingdom. The king and the queen began being drenched to the skin, returned to their city with all their people shivering and teeth chattering, running and slipping, but all the same rejoicing, making merry and cheering their monarch and consort with slogans of Jaikar, victory. The gods also showered flowers. The joy of the ancestors of King Shambhu present in heaven knew no bounds. All praised their own fortune in having such a Mahatma as a King Shambhu as their descendant, who, by his devotion to his Guru, made even the gods bow down their heads. There is another anecdote about him. On a Sharad Purnima, full moon in autumn, Raja Shambhu was serving food to the visiting saints. His wife Maharani Bhagesh was helping to serve the choicest of eatables. One of the saint, out of sheer love, entered into the confidence of the royal couple. In an informal way, he asked, "O king, do you ever feel the pinch of having no issue?" The king looked at the queen for a moment in a casual manner and said, "O master, it is not so. But sometimes I feel the future of the kingdom to be dark, and this pains me. I ponder as to what will happen to this land after me, in absence of any successor. Who will rule this kingdom? What sort of a person will he be? Will he be able to follow a life of dharma and work for the peace and prosperity of his people? Some such questions do vex my conscience. O master, on hearing these words of the king, the saint said, "O king, you are worrying for nothing. The blessing of saints are always with you. Still, if with the help of rishis and munis, sages, a putrishti yagya, sacrifice for a son, is planned completely in accordance with Vedic mantras and rites, you can surely be blessed with a son. But this son may relinquish the throne and opt to become a sannyasi, renounced sage. O king, we have thought over all the five elements of causation and given our suggestion to you. This will surely come true." On hearing these words of the saints, Rani Bhagesh fell at his feet. They had the Charanamrit and offered Sashtang prostrate Pranam. The Rani spoke with a voice choked with emotion. "O Lord, you know that the name of anyone does not become immortal because of a kingdom or a palace, but it is renunciation and devotion which brings immortality to a man's name." After this, the queen presented a beautiful shawl to the saint yogi and offered Sashtang Pranam to him again. The saint was very much pleased and, blessing the devotees in his unique manner, left the palace. The king and the queen were now devoted to virtuous actions, charity, and welfare activities. All the more, according to the instructions of saint, a Putrishti Yagya was performed under the guidance of scholars, pandits, and wise priests. In due course, the prophecy came true. King Shambhu and Rani Bhagesh were blessed with a son who came to be a great man of his times. He was named Jasramji and became a famous king in course of time. This is how kindness and blessings of saints and yogis work. The celebrated king was revered grandfather of Yogiraj Swami Ramesh Chandranandji Maharaj. Once Raja Shambhu asked his revered Gurudev Maharshi Pragyanand, "O seer of the present, past and future, O Lord, O all-pervading Gurudev, O all-prevailing Gurudev, I am today very anxious to know about my clan, dynasty and Gotra, family tree. Only you can satisfy my quest. Who else can satisfy my spirit?" On inquiry. On seeing his disciple worried over question, Maharshi Pragyanand said, "O king, as I have read in the Vedas, the 43rd, the 53rd Shukta, 3rd Mandal, 4th chapter, and 23rd mantra of Rigved describes Lodh Gun, the Lodh property, inherent in the blood of all great Kshatriya, the ruling clans, and fighting class, the ruling and the fighting class. That is how the Lodh dynasty grew up. Accordingly, you have a very sharp intellect. This is what benefits a Chakravarti, world conqueror." After this, the great Vedic scholar Pandit Maharshi Pragyanand gave a mantra which in its minute form was the sum and substance of the Vedas. Shriman Narayana Charanam Sharanam Prapadaye Srimate Narayanaya Namaha. O king, this is the gist of the Vedas. This is also known as Daya Mantra. With the blessings of Guru, the chanting of this mantra leads one to attain salvation. Narayan in this mantra stands for the Guru. Saying this, Gurudev Sri Pragyanand disappeared.